What if I told you that cholesterol isn't the villain you've been led to believe it is? For decades, we've been told, avoid eggs, cut out fat, keep your cholesterol low, or else. But here's the kicker. Over 40% of heart attack patients have normal cholesterol levels. So, what's really going on? In this video, I'm going to debunk the 5 biggest myths about cholesterol that are still confusing millions. You'll learn why LDL isn't always bad, why that morning omelet might actually help you, and how some of the healthiest people on the planet have high cholesterol and zero heart disease. I used to think cholesterol was black and white, good or bad, but the truth is way more interesting, and the latest science tells a very different story. And stick around, because later in the video, I'll reveal a specific type of cholesterol that might actually protect you from a heart attack, not cause one. So if you've ever been told to watch your cholesterol, this video might just change the way you look at your health forever. Let's get into it. Let's start with myth number 1. All cholesterol is bad. When people hear the word cholesterol, they often picture clogged arteries, heart attacks, and strict, joyless diets. But here's the truth. Cholesterol is not the enemy. In fact, your body can't survive without it. Let's start with the basics. Cholesterol is a waxy, fat-like substance found in every cell of your body. It's essential for making hormones like estrogen and testosterone, building cell membranes, and even helping your body produce vitamin D. So why the bad reputation? It all comes down to lipoproteins, the carriers that transport cholesterol through your bloodstream. You've likely heard of LDL, or low-density lipoprotein, often labeled the bad cholesterol, and HDL, or high-density lipoprotein, called the good cholesterol. But it's not that simple. LDL is not inherently bad. In fact, it's vital for delivering cholesterol to cells that need it. The real issue arises when LDL becomes oxidized, or when there are too many small, dense LDL particles, which are more likely to contribute to plaque buildup in arteries. HDL, on the other hand, helps remove excess cholesterol and transport it back to the liver. That's why it's seen as protective. But even HDL can be dysfunctional under certain inflammatory conditions. The big myth is thinking of cholesterol like a villain in a one-size-fits-all story. In reality, context matters. Inflammation, insulin resistance, and metabolic health are all part of the picture, and sometimes they're even more important than your cholesterol number. So, is all cholesterol bad? Not at all. It's like blaming the firemen for the fire just because they're always there. Next, we tackle the egg debate and why that yolk might not be your enemy after all. For years, eggs, especially the yolks, were demonized. Too much cholesterol, they said. 1 egg a day could raise your risk of heart disease, they warned. But today, science is cracking that myth wide open. Let's separate fact from fiction. A single egg contains about 186 milligrams of cholesterol, almost all in the yolk. But here's the twist. Dietary cholesterol doesn't have the impact on blood cholesterol levels we once thought. In fact, a large body of research, including Harvard's long-running health professionals follow-up study, has shown that for most people, eating eggs has little to no effect on LDL levels. Why? Because your body is smart. When you eat more cholesterol, your liver produces less. And when you eat less, it produces more. The system regulates itself unless it's thrown off by chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, or, genetics. So what really raises LDL cholesterol in a harmful way? It's often trans fats, refined carbs, and excessive sugar intake. Not whole foods like eggs. Even the American Heart Association revised its stance, saying that eggs can be part of a healthy diet, especially when eaten with vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats. What's more, eggs are a nutritional powerhouse. They're rich in choline, which is essential for brain health. They're also packed with high-quality protein and full of antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, which support eye health. So, unless you have a rare genetic condition like familial hypercholesterolemia, that morning omelet might actually be one of the healthiest starts to your day. Coming up next, we dive into why statins aren't the only way to control cholesterol and what your doctor might not be telling you. Statins are among the most prescribed drugs in the world. And for some people, especially those with a history of heart disease, they can be life-saving. But here's the myth. Statins are the only effective way to lower cholesterol and protect your heart. That's simply not true. Let's look at what statins actually do. Statins work by blocking an enzyme in your liver that helps produce cholesterol. As a result, your LDL cholesterol drops, which can reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes in high-risk individuals. Sounds great, right? So where's the problem? First, not everyone benefits equally. Research shows that for people without existing cardiovascular disease, the absolute risk reduction from statins can be quite small, especially when lifestyle changes are ignored. Second, statins can come with side effects including muscle pain or weakness, elevated blood sugar levels, and even memory fog or sleep issues in some individuals. Third, and perhaps most importantly, statins treat a symptom, not the underlying cause. High cholesterol is often a marker, not the main culprit. Inflammation, oxidative stress, and poor metabolic health are the real threats. Here's the good news. Lifestyle changes can be just as powerful, if not more so, for many people. Studies show that a combination of diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep can significantly reduce LDL, boost HDL, and improve overall heart health without medication. Of course, this isn't about throwing away your prescription. It's about knowing your options, asking the right questions, and treating the root causes of poor health. Up next, let's bust one of the most stubborn beliefs in nutrition, that saturated fat leads directly to heart attacks. For decades, saturated fat has been painted as the heart's worst enemy. The logic seemed simple. Saturated fat raises cholesterol, cholesterol causes heart attacks, therefore, avoid saturated fat at all costs. But the science has evolved, and honestly, the truth is far more complex. Let's start with where this myth came from. Back in the 1950s, a researcher named Ansel Keys published the famous 7 Countries study, which appeared to link saturated fat with heart disease. The media jumped on it. Governments followed suit. Low-fat diets became the norm. But here's the issue. Keys selectively reported data. Countries that didn't fit the narrative, like France, where people ate loads of saturated fat but had low rates of heart disease, were excluded. Since then, multiple large meta-analyses have found no clear evidence that saturated fat intake is directly associated with increased heart disease risk. What matters more is the overall dietary pattern, the types of fat, and your metabolic health. For example, saturated fat from processed meats and junk food? Possibly harmful, but saturated fat from grass-fed butter, dark chocolate, or coconut oil? Less clear. Context is everything. Also, not all LDL is created equal. Saturated fat can raise LDL, but it often raises the large, fluffy LDL particles, which are less likely to cause arterial damage than the small, dense ones triggered by sugar and refined carbs. The new research is clear. Demonizing saturated fat oversimplifies nutrition science. A balanced, whole foods-based diet that includes healthy sources of fat can actually support heart health. Still not convinced? Coming up next, we'll reveal what really matters for your heart: inflammation, insulin resistance, and how cholesterol is just one piece of the puzzle. So far, we've talked about cholesterol, fat, and food, but here's the big question: what actually causes heart disease? It turns out, cholesterol alone isn't the villain. It's just one factor, and not even the most important one in many cases. Let's break it down. Cholesterol travels through your bloodstream in lipoproteins. These particles don't usually cause trouble until they get trapped in the walls of your arteries, become oxidized, and trigger an inflammatory response. That's when the real damage begins. Your immune system attacks the area, plaque builds up, and the risk of blockage increases. In this story, the problem isn't just the cholesterol, it's oxidative stress, caused by smoking, poor diet, and pollution, chronic inflammation from processed foods, stress, and lack of sleep, and high blood sugar and insulin resistance. In fact, some studies suggest that inflammation and insulin resistance are stronger predictors of heart disease than cholesterol levels alone. This helps explain why some people with high LDL live long, healthy lives, while others with normal levels still suffer heart attacks. It's not the cholesterol in isolation, it's the environment it's floating in. So, what's the real heart health strategy? Well, it's all about focusing on reducing chronic inflammation by eating anti-inflammatory foods like berries, leafy greens, and omega-3 fatty acids. It's also about managing stress and getting quality sleep. and moving your body regularly and intentionally, plus avoiding ultra-processed foods, sugar spikes, and smoking. If we only focus on cholesterol, we really miss the bigger picture and the biggest opportunities to protect our hearts. And speaking of opportunities, next, we'll explore how your daily habits, not your genetics or medication, can powerfully shape your cholesterol profile and heart health. When most people think about lowering cholesterol, they think about food. Cut out eggs, avoid butter, and skip red meat. But the truth is, your lifestyle habits may have just as much, if not more, impact on your cholesterol profile than diet alone. Let's start with exercise. Studies show that aerobic exercise like walking, jogging, or cycling can increase HDL, the good cholesterol, and improve the size and quality of LDL particles, making them less likely to cause damage. Even short bursts of movement throughout the day can help regulate lipid levels and reduce cardiovascular risk. Then there's sleep. Getting less than 6 hours a night? That can raise your LDL and triglycerides while lowering your HDL. Quality sleep is when your body resets, repairs, and regulates hormones, including those that control cholesterol metabolism. Stress is another hidden driver. Chronic stress increases levels of cortisol, which in turn can lead to higher blood sugar, weight gain, and elevated triglycerides, all risk factors for heart disease. Even if your diet is pristine, unmanaged stress can sabotage your results. Alcohol and smoking are also major players. While moderate red wine once had a heart-healthy reputation, the evidence is shaky. And smoking? It damages blood vessels and oxidizes LDL, accelerating plaque buildup. Even your gut health plays a role. A healthy microbiome helps metabolize bile and cholesterol, while dysbiosis, an imbalance in gut bacteria, can contribute to inflammation and poor lipid metabolism. The bottom line? You don't need a perfect diet to improve your cholesterol. You need a balanced lifestyle, one that supports your body across the board. And to make sense of it all, up next, we'll break down how to actually interpret your cholesterol numbers and why the standard test may not tell the full story. You've probably seen your cholesterol test results and wondered, is my total cholesterol too high? What does LDL even mean? The problem is, many standard cholesterol tests don't tell the full story, and without context, numbers can be misleading. So, let's break it down starting with total cholesterol. This is actually the sum of your HDL, LDL, and about 20% of your triglycerides. But honestly, this number alone is not very useful. Two people can have the same total cholesterol and vastly different health risks, depending on their ratios and particle types. What about LDL? LDL is often blamed for heart disease, but remember, not all LDL is created equal. Large, fluffy LDL particles are less harmful. Small, dense LDL particles are more likely to get stuck in arteries and become oxidized. Most standard tests don't measure particle size or number, which can actually be critical in assessing risk. That's where advanced lipid panels or an ApoB test come in. They offer a more detailed look at your cardiovascular risk. Then there's HDL. HDL helps remove cholesterol from arteries. Higher HDL is generally good, but the function of HDL is what really matters, not just the number. And what about triglycerides? This is a major piece of the puzzle. High triglycerides are strongly associated with insulin resistance and metabolic issues. A triglyceride to HDL ratio of less than 2:1 is a powerful indicator of heart health. Bottom line, don't just chase a low total cholesterol number. Instead, ask your doctor about inflammation markers, particle size, ApoB, and insulin resistance. These tell a much clearer story. Next, we're going to look at the good stuff, surprising foods that actually improve your cholesterol profile naturally. You'll want to take notes for this one. Not all cholesterol-lowering strategies involve prescriptions or cutting everything you love out of your diet. In fact, some of the most powerful tools for improving your cholesterol are already in your kitchen. Let's explore some surprising, research-backed foods that can naturally boost your heart health, starting with avocados. Rich in monounsaturated fats, avocados help lower LDL and increase HDL. One study found that eating one avocado a day for 5 weeks led to a significant reduction in small, dense LDL particles, the ones most strongly linked to heart disease. Packed with omega-3 fatty acids and plant sterols, walnuts and almonds reduce total cholesterol and inflammation. Just a small handful a day can make a measurable difference, according to studies from the American Heart Association. Antioxidant-rich fruits like berries don't just taste good, they help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which contribute to arterial damage. They may also lower LDL and raise HDL when consumed regularly. Found in oats, legumes, flaxseed, and psyllium, soluble fiber binds to cholesterol in the digestive tract and helps eliminate it. Aim for at least 5 to 10 grams of soluble fiber per day to see a reduction in LDL levels. Rich in catechins and polyphenols, green tea has been shown to reduce LDL oxidation and improve endothelial function, which is really key for a healthy cardiovascular system. And here's the wild card. Garlic supplements have been found to reduce total and LDL cholesterol modestly, and they also lower blood pressure, a double win. These aren't superfoods, they're everyday foods with extraordinary impact. Coming up next, let's pull it all together and look at what really matters when it comes to cholesterol and heart health, and what you should actually focus on. After all the myths and numbers and conflicting advice, let's zoom out and ask, what should you really focus on when it comes to cholesterol and heart health? Here's the truth. Cholesterol is only one piece of the puzzle. If you obsess over LDL numbers while ignoring inflammation, insulin resistance, or poor lifestyle habits, you're missing the forest for the trees. So what should you worry about? First, chronic inflammation. Think of inflammation like a slow-burning fire inside your arteries. It weakens blood vessel walls and makes them more prone to plaque buildup. Reducing inflammation should be priority number 1. Next, insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. This is honestly the real driver of dangerous cholesterol patterns like high triglycerides, low HDL, and small, dense LDL. If you've got belly fat, or maybe you feel fatigue after meals, or even have prediabetes, you really want to address this first. Now about vascular health. Your arteries need to be elastic and smooth. Smoking, stress, and processed foods all damage the inner lining, called the endothelium, no matter what your cholesterol numbers are. Lifestyle consistency really matters. A few salads won't fix years of damage, but daily movement, getting quality sleep, eating real food, and managing stress over time will honestly shift your biology for the better. And finally, get better blood tests. Ask for markers like high-sensitivity CRP for inflammation, ApoB, LDL particle size, and fasting insulin. These go way beyond the standard lipid panel, so don't panic over one number. Instead, focus on creating a body environment where cholesterol flows safely, not one that invites it to stick, oxidize, and inflame. Next, we'll recap the key takeaways and leave you with one question that could totally change how you view your next checkup. Let's recap what we've uncovered, because honestly, when it comes to cholesterol, the truth is far more interesting than the myths. Myth number 1, not all cholesterol is bad. Your body actually needs it to survive, and context, like inflammation and particle size, matters way more than total numbers. Myth number 2, eating cholesterol-rich foods like eggs doesn't necessarily raise your blood cholesterol. In fact, they can be part of a heart-healthy diet. Myth number 3, statins aren't the only option. For a lot of people, lifestyle changes can have a powerful effect and without the side effects. Myth number 4, saturated fat is not a one-way ticket to heart disease. It's more about the source, the quality, and your overall metabolic health. Myth number 5, your cholesterol numbers don't tell the whole story. You need to understand particle size, triglycerides, inflammation, and insulin resistance. Here's the bottom line. Cholesterol is not the enemy. Poor lifestyle, chronic stress, inflammation, and processed foods are. So, instead of fearing a lab result, ask better questions. Am I inflamed? Am I insulin resistant? How's my sleep, my stress, my daily movement? The goal isn't just to lower numbers. The real goal is to create a body environment where cholesterol works with you, not against you. If your doctor told you to watch your cholesterol, maybe it's time to ask, watch it do what? If this video helped reframe your thinking, hit that like button, subscribe for more science-backed health content, and share this with someone who still thinks fat is the